The only problem could be where you need to draw these petals from all the angles, so that just requires work, as in like there's nowhere you can skip. You just need to be able to draw these with different angles. Plus I start from drawing outside in, so overlapping is a big thing. I do like to like bring them in, then goes behind, comes in here, twists around, and then essentially we're gonna delete that just for more readability. But mostly I don't delete anything, I just leave as it is. Then it spins around. Let's say we need a few more here, maybe overlaps there a little bit, and we probably need to do a couple more in the middle just to really fulfill that area, because this would be where it's the busiest, where all the ends are. It's kind of confusing only because I've drawn so many like guidelines. Mostly I wouldn't draw them so many because I can kind of just imagine as they would be. Let's say if we make it maybe a little bit smaller, and then what we're going to do is take this and then we're going to desaturate. Actually I should have said that in the video. So we're going to take this layer, what I'm going to do is take that and then bring it down to like this much opacity, so I can kind of see but not much, and then we just make a new layer there. Then I'm going to go on brush. I got my own brush, stabilization. I picked like 90% this, and then 15% stabilization, which should give us a nice clean lines. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw from outside in, meaning now going outside in, I'm going to start from here, comes here, flicks around, goes back up there, makes some little wobbles, and boom. When you draw from outside in, for example, like here, these little things basically happen when the flower kind of folds itself, and then this double line is kind of like on this side as well, but you can't see. And when you draw that, it kind of overlaps and blocks the next one, so it's kind of easier to imagine how it would block it, because from outside in, it naturally just blocks the view. And then you can draw the next one as well behind it, and it just naturally blocked and you can't see. And then probably I'm going to draw this, then I'm going to desaturate and then redraw again just to make it nice and neat. And that's how I draw chrysanthemums. So now we're going to post that video real quick, and then we're going to be back here. So the video is posting, let's go. So now we can draw more. So like I said before, I do like to draw from outside in, so we're going to draw from there. Then I do always these little flicks, and these wobbles, what happens is if you would bend the paper, and the paper would physically bend inwards when you try to like fold in half, as in like even us humans, when we have thumbs, well, fingers, we get straight, and the moment you fold in, you get these like a cushiony kind of feelings, and then same happens here. Exactly the same kind of procedure or activity. So let's say we need to make one what's almost like straight in front of us. I kind of do like a rotation, one here, one there, one there, one there. I don't really start from one side. I do like to jump around to like, one is like entertaining myself, and the second is it kind of helps to visualize better as well. The more you have stuff drawn on it, the more you can kind of visualize where what would sit and how it would go, and then it's easier to draw the rest of it because you get nice visuals that explain the reality. And see, the stabilization, what I did was it kind of made it stable, but I could still make a lot of flicks, and it kind of cleans my line work, but it doesn't at the same time. And I don't really need it to be really polished, like a super clean, but at the same time I need cleaner than it was. So, and then this one could go back inwards, spin there, the other side, and then this would turn in. You can't see this, but this would come like here, and then we need to do the double line there, and then we can join these. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can see that to the inner line, I just naturally put less pressure. And the same if I would tattoo, the inner lines with like 3 or something small, kind of indicating the outside lines are the outside lines, and then inner lines are inner lines. And that's why I like this brush, where just adding the pressure or taking off the pressure kind of solves half the problem. So let's go elsewhere. You always need to make sure that your line work is like matching, as in like if it starts there, it goes here, you have to like kind of keep the flow and make sure you get it like everywhere, just so it's not like the petal starts in the middle of nowhere and it doesn't physically have the joints to join back to the stem. And then I have one here, and then sometimes when you do double lines like this, it nicely indicates which is the other side. Otherwise you can misjudge or misinterpret that for something else. Let's say if we do one here, and that's why I kind of do them twice, as in like once I do sketch them, second is I try to redraw them to like even more layer, even more disrupt, even more make sense. So yeah, I do like to bounce from side to side, and then kind of you have to float on top of it to make sure you don't accidentally pull a line that they don't meet. They have to meet each other. And you'll see a lot of people make more dents, a lot of people will make less dents, a lot of people make really polished peonies or chrysanthemums where they're like super duper clean, like really stylized, clean. I like to make somewhere in between where I think they are pretty detailed but clean at the same time. I don't like when people when they add too much detail to it, makes no sense. And I think when they really make it super clean, also makes no sense whatsoever. So I've been drawing like this for some time now. So let's say we have a little bit of emptiness there. And I'd say this is probably one of the best line work exercises as well, because you got a lot of lines, many lines. And chrysanthemums is something that people, they just like. It adds complexity, it gives a detail. It's like cool if they are by themselves, but at the same time, they can have friends as in tattoos right next to it, and they also look cool. They're really nice gap fillers, but they're really nice just by themselves. They're really versatile kind of object or subject. I feel like these two bend, well, this area kind of bends too much inwards. So probably say if we just make another one that kind of breaks all that cycle. That's pretty cool. I have a feeling that I will add some leaves as well to stylize it a little bit more. But for now, we just focus on the flower itself. So as you can see, this is the next morning. So I did film with Lucy that video yesterday, and then I posted how to draw chrysanthemum. And when I was making the video, remember when I filmed it, I said we need to film for Insta. So I think this is 8 hours later, we got 23,000 views, and then the Lucy one is 21,000. So the little video of me drawing and guiding people how to draw chrysanthemums outperforms other video. I don't know if you can see this 23k. There you can see 23.4. And then what we can see is we got 700 people saved that video. 900 people loved that video. Then this is quite important that 18% it's been pushed to fresh people. So these are non-followers. These we can get as followers. And then you can see the spike blew up. So the gray here is average. So that's mostly where my reels go. But this one's like boom, double that, which is a really good indicator. And then we can see that all time together is 5 days and 5 hours. And then we managed to get already 35 followers from this video, which is really nice. And I think why this video was going quite good is because I'm using this video as a social media. So like, I laugh about this, but I mean it. Like a lot of people, they say, look at me. And people do first time, but then they just don't give a shit anymore. And then what happens is you lose those people. Whereas when I make those videos, I literally give information to you guys. So like, this is how you tattoo, this is how you pull a line, this is how you draw chrysanthemum. If I would say in a video, let me show you how I draw, then it's like bragging. But I'm just like, so do this, and then people just do. As in like, I literally divide social media in two pieces. One is selfish media, another one is social media. And then everybody does selfish media. They just do like me, I. Welcome to my studio, welcome me. No one gives a shit, no one cares. Whereas if you just give to people, you win. And that's it. Like that video is gonna help certain amount of people. For certain amount of people gonna click, they're like, oh shit. And then that way you do it. And then they will be able to draw chrysanthemums, they will be able to probably draw peonies. But it's a life-changing moment. Once you unlock that skill or that inspiration, that person has that forever. So imagine gifting someone a gift and knowledge that they have forever, like for the rest of their lives. It's a pretty cool thing to do. Like, I'm not asking any money. I'm not bragging, oh, look at me, look at me. Welcome to my studio. It's just giving media, like social media, to be social. You give. You don't receive. That's selfish media. But yeah, that's like the impact of one video. So like, try to think in a way where whatever you do, how you can multiply that by 4, 5, 6, 7, ever. I can use that video if that the platforms allow. I don't know. But that is like a long video, like 2-3 minutes long video. But if other platforms allow, I could upload that on Instagram. I could upload that on Pinterest. I could upload that on TikTok. So we can use the same material elsewhere. So yeah, that's how I do it. And that's like the impact of one activity multiplied by another one. It's pretty cool. And then after all the edits, well, it's not finished, but you can see what it looks like. Pretty cool. And then my boy sits on like that little thingy there, but naturally just decreasing the pressure while I scrape against the screen, I can get both sizes. So I would naturally pull the outer lines at like 9 or 7, and then the inner ones with 3. It needs to be small, needs to be tiny. Then mostly the outer lines here I pull with like blacking, and then the inner lines here, the small ones, the thin ones, I do with shading ink, some grey wash. But yeah, that's how it looks so far.